When the HOA tried to shut down my countryside acres, they thought they could bully me into silence. They wanted control, money, and power, but what they didn't expect was that I'd fight back in the most public way possible. One simple video changed everything. And when the entire town saw the truth, the HOA's empire crumbled overnight. My name is Daniel, and I live on a stretch of land just outside the city, 30 acres of countryside I inherited from my late father. For me, this wasn't just property. It was freedom. A place to raise animals, plant crops, and live the quiet life away from the chaos of the suburbs. But apparently, peace was too much for the HOA. It started small. My neighbors across the road decided to form an HOA for their subdivision. I wasn't part of their community, my land sat on the edge of it, but that didn't stop them from trying to drag me under their rule. The first letter came with fancy letterhead, "Dear resident, as part of the Greenfield HOA community, you are required to comply with our guidelines for land maintenance and aesthetics." I almost laughed. My countryside acres weren't part of any Greenfield HOA. But still, I politely emailed their president, a woman named Sylvia, and told her I was independent. My land wasn't part of their jurisdiction. Her reply: cold and dismissive. All properties adjoining the HOA subdivision must comply. This is for the good of the community. That was the beginning of a nightmare. Within weeks, they started harassing me. I got violation notices for letting my chickens roam, for not having approved fencing, even for the size of my barn. None of it made sense. My land was zoned agricultural, and I was fully within my rights. But Sylvia and her board didn't care about facts. They wanted control. Things escalated when they sent an inspector to evaluate my property. The man walked right into my pasture without permission, clipboard in hand, scribbling notes like he owned the place. When I told him to leave, he said, "The HOA has authority here." I kicked him out, and the very next day, I received a threat: failure to comply will result in fines and potential liens on your property. That hit a nerve. They weren't just annoying me anymore, they were threatening my livelihood. I tried reasoning with them, even brought my deed and county maps to an HOA meeting to prove they had no authority over my land. But Sylvia smirked and said, "The town doesn't care about technicalities. We do what's best for the neighborhood." The arrogance made my blood boil. Neighbors began whispering. Some believed the HOA, thinking I was some unruly farmer lowering property values. Others knew the truth but were too scared to stand up. That's when I realized, fighting them quietly wouldn't work. If they wanted to play this game in public, I'd take the fight to an even bigger audience. I'm not just a farmer. I also run a small YouTube channel where I post videos about rural living, tips on gardening, DIY projects, and animal care. My audience wasn't massive, but I had a loyal following. That gave me an idea. What if I filmed everything? The harassment, the fake fines, the lies? What if I showed the entire town, maybe even the entire country, how this HOA was abusing power? So I set up cameras around my property. Hidden ones near the entrance, motion-activated ones by the barn, and of course, my handheld camera for direct-to-camera updates. It didn't take long for material to roll in. One day, HOA board members trespassed to take photos. My cameras caught them red-handed, trampling through my fields. Another time, their so-called security officer tried to order me to remove my chicken coop. I filmed the entire exchange, calmly explaining the law while he stammered nonsense about community regulations. The best footage came during a heated meeting where Sylvia flat out lied, claiming the HOA owned influence over my land. I recorded her smirk as she said it, thinking no one outside the meeting would ever know. Oh, she was wrong. That night, I edited everything into a 20-minute video titled, HOA Tries to Take My Countryside Acres, Here's the Truth. I hit upload. And then I waited. The video spread like wildfire. Within 24 hours, it had over 50,000 views, far more than my usual uploads. People were furious in the comments. This is abuse of power. HOAs should be illegal. That president needs to be voted out. But the real blow came when locals started sharing it on Facebook. Soon, everyone in town had seen Sylvia and her board trespassing, lying, and threatening me with fake fines. The very next day, my phone rang. It was a local news reporter asking for an interview. I agreed, and the segment aired that same evening. Footage from my video played on TV, showing HOA members caught in their own arrogance. The anchor ended the piece with, "It appears this HOA has no authority over Mr. Daniels' land, making their actions questionable at best, and unlawful at worst." The fallout was immediate. Neighbors who once avoided me now showed up with words of support. One family even said, "We were scared of Sylvia, but you gave us courage. Thank you." Meanwhile, the HOA office was flooded with angry calls and emails. Parents were outraged that HOA funds were being wasted on legal threats against someone outside their neighborhood. Some even demanded Sylvia resign. Sylvia herself showed up at my driveway again, this time not with arrogance, but desperation. "Take down the video," she pleaded. "You're ruining our reputation." I smiled. "You ruined your own reputation." The video just showed the truth. Under pressure, the HOA backed off completely. They stopped sending violation letters. They removed their signs. And most importantly, they admitted, in writing, that my land was not under their jurisdiction. But the humiliation didn't stop there. At the next town meeting, residents stood up one by one to confront Sylvia. Some accused her of corruption, and others demanded transparency with HOA funds. By the end of the night, Sylvia and 2 board members had resigned. As for me, my YouTube channel exploded. That video crossed 500,000 views in 2 weeks, bringing in thousands of new subscribers. I used the momentum to keep posting, not just about farm life, but about standing up to unfair HOAs. People sent me their own stories, and soon, my little countryside channel became a hub for HOA resistance. The best part? My land stayed mine, free and clear. No more threats, no more harassment. Just peace, and the satisfaction of knowing that one video toppled an entire corrupt board. And that's how the HOA tried to shut down my countryside acres, but instead, I exposed them to the whole town and beyond. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe for more HOA revenge tales. You won't believe the battles still to come.